In this video, I'm going to go over strings. Now, this is a multi-section video, so it might be a little longer. If you find yourself not getting through the whole thing, feel free to sort of watch certain allotments or a certain amount of time or times, or chunk it up yourself accordingly to your ability to synthesize and sort of learn the information here. All right, strings, pretty straightforward for the most part. It's just pretty much words or how you want to identify things as words. Certainly not numbers where you can add and subtract. You can use numbers as a string, but again, you're not going to be able to necessarily add or subtract at that point. So they're usually surrounded by either double or single quotation marks. So that's the main thing that will help you identify. You can print the literal string just by using the word print and then putting whatever is in the quotations. So I'll give you kind of a quick example. Oops. So this will come back and just say print hello in both instances, whether I'm using a double or single. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is that you can name a variable a string. So I can say x equals hello. And this will, in effect, come back and it should print hello for the first one. There we go. So I can name a variable string as well. Okay. All right. Quotes inside quotes. Now, I have not used every single instance of every single string type. Again, I'm just trying to get you familiar. And the really good thing about this training is it's not that you're going to remember everything, but perhaps one day if you use one or two things that you've seen in this video, you can look back and go, oh, okay, I think I do remember that. For instance, I've used heat maps before in Python. I haven't used them a lot, but there will be a couple of sections where we can build that out here. And I'll certainly at least have my memory jogged about the process, and at least I know where to go and find some additional information to help me build out a heat map. So cover that a little bit later. That's just an interesting example, especially for those of you who don't code every single day. So you can definitely have skill apathy if you're not utilizing a skill every day. And sometimes that's not your fault. It just depends on what's going on. All right, quotes inside quotes. So this one here, print, and then it's going to say it's all right. All right, and it's got the apostrophe within the word it's. Second one, it's going to say he is called Johnny, and then Johnny's got his own little single quote. So you can use the quotes inside as long as they don't match the quotes surrounding the string. Again, I can use single quotes and then inside use Johnny. So it should keep Johnny in quotations in this one if you want to check that out. And again, I'm probably going to run through some of these. Again, it'll be a little bit longer of a video, but I want to make sure we really have a good fundamental basis of this. So it's all right. It's going to keep everything within the quotes. He's called Johnny, single quotes, left single quotes around Johnny, same thing. Double quotes here because I reversed the usage, and the single quotations are on the back. They pretty much act the same as a double quotation. Okay. Assign a string. We already went over this one. A equals hello, print A. Went up with that one up here. So multi-line strings. Okay. This is pretty much when, again, you're trying to type in multiple things. We're just going to say the letter A because I don't want to type this out twice. If I have something in that, especially if I want to reuse that quote several times within a program, I'll just type it out once, assign a variable to it, and then come back, and whenever I need to reference it, I can reference that variable, and then it will basically say A equals whatever I initially typed. Okay, so if I change that to B, all it does is reassign this, and that will now be B, and it'll come back with everything. All right, so we're saying whatever letter I assign to this string is that. Okay, the main thing is just know you can assign multi-line strings to a variable, and you are going to use 3 quotes with multi-line strings. So just remember that. Multi-line strings, 3 quotes. Okay. Or 3 single quotes, but either way, it's going to be some combination of 3. So if I print that, it'll come out with the same thing. Okay, strings are arrays. All right, strings, arrays, loops. This is where it gets maybe a little more complicated. Like many other popular programming languages, Python's going to use arrays. Pretty much they're just bytes representing Unicode characters. Python does not have a data type, a single character, or simply a string with a letter of one. So square brackets are going to be used. So that's the main thing. So we're going to use different sort of context. So for an array, to get the character at position 1, remember that the first character has position 0. I don't know if we went over that yet, but in Python, first character position is always going to be 0. So actually, let me see what we got here. Correct, that could be the quotation, the quotation itself instead of the H. So let's come back and just double check. It's been a while since I ran this, but that's a good refresher. Okay, so it is counting H. So H is 0. So you're going to print 1. So what we're saying is H is 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, space 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so good refresher for me. It's been a while since I ran that. Okay, so if you want to return a specific letter for this one, this is a similar breakout. So we're saying A equals hello world. The first character position is 0. All right, and that would be the first one inside the quotes. So if I want the first position, it's actually going to be E, since H in this instance is the first character, and that's a 0. So print, we're going to return the letter E, and that's what we're seeing right here. Does that make sense? Hopefully. All right, looping through a string. Okay, since strings are arrays, and they didn't really go over what arrays are completely, so just to give you a little context, and one of the things I like to do is go out and use Google. You can either type in what is an array or what is an array in Python. Try to get specific, especially if you're within a specific language. And you can get a quick overview. We are going to go over arrays at one point down here, so yeah, they're definitely kind of going over some stuff that maybe we haven't yet, but let's just get you a quick overview. Array, so data structure that stores a collection of elements of the same type, so sort of like a list. All right, but with the key difference that all elements in an array must be the same data type, either integers, floats, or strings. All right, homogeneous means the same. The main thing is it helps with memory use. Here's some sample code you can take a look at. I'm not going to run that because a lot of times that's not necessarily the most accurate example when AI pushes out code. Sometimes it gets you pointed in the right direction, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so just be aware this is a string, so we can use that. It's the same data type. And then we're basically making an array to where we can call back the first character in that particular string. Okay, looping through a string. Trust me, we'll get more practice with it as we go. I know there's a lot to it, so that's why you want to start with the basics. Looping through a string. Strings are arrays, so we can loop through the characters in a string. You're going to use a for loop. Again, I'd like to go back, just give you a little bit of background. For loop in Python programming. Get specific within your language. There are similarities between languages, but it's always good to know what's going on within your specific language. It's a for loop programming construct repeats a block of code a set number of times or until a condition is met. So not quite a repeat loop or certainly similar to a repeat until. Purpose, if you're making sort of a flow statement, I'll need to just run a class over that one day to execute a block of code. It's common programming construct that can save time. So sometimes there are some case sensitivity issues. So just give you a little background there. So for loop, for the letters in the word banana. So for X in banana, print X. Okay, so let's kind of run through here, and I'll give you an example of what this is going to look like. Again, they kind of jump into some things that are a little advanced, so I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much. Just want to get you some familiarity. So, all right, so what it's basically saying here is for banana, I want you to run through every letter in banana, and then we're going to print that. So it's running into, it's going to say, hey, I found the B, then I found the A, then I found the N, then I found the A, then I found the N, then I found the A. And I'm going to do this until I get through the word banana in this instance. It's a little quirky because it's not as straightforward to say a variable where I'm saying x equals banana, print x. So this one's a little different, and I will get into this at a later time. I'm just trying to get you an overview of strings and sort of what they look like at this point. String length, you get the length of a string, use the length function. I've never really had to use this, but sometimes I can see some value in understanding that. So I'm going to take a hypothesis first, and if I get this wrong, let that be the case. But this is how you kind of learn sometimes. So we know the first number is going to be 0, or the first character is 0. So it should be length of the string. So we're saying A equals hello world. So if that's 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The space would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, my hypothesis is that this will come back and say 12. But let's see if I'm correct or not. I'm certainly okay with being wrong or inaccurate at times if it helps me learn. Again, this is not something I utilize every day or I've had to use every day. 13. Okay, so it's certainly counting the first one character in this instance. That's what I'm saying. So some things just got to get a little familiar with or get refreshed with. So as far as this one goes, it is going to count the first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I was right. It does count the space. So not entirely wrong on this one, and that's good for me to know. Okay. Check string. To check if a certain phrase or character is present in a string, we can use the word in, in. So check if free is present in the following text. We want to see if the word free is here. So within this text. So what we're saying is print free in this particular variable, which we have listed as a string. The best things in life are free. Thank you, W3 Schools. This is some free training here, and I would have to concur. And a resource like this is pretty valuable. This is not a paid advertisement for W3 Schools, but definitely very good to have that. So it's going to come back and it's going to say true, yes. So is this word in this particular line? So if statement, again, some of these things we haven't really went over. So let's take a look here. If statements, I have used these in spreadsheets and other software more, but it's still good to know. Basically, you're just using, this is where you're starting to get into using some logic. So text, the best, print only if free is present. So it's only going to print if it sees the word free. So if free is in text, which is the variable identified, txt, which we're saying equals the best things in life are free, then print yes, free is present. So it's going to say yes, and remember quotations, the word free, and then it'll print this literally this entire phrase. All right, so we're going to remove the word free in a second, but let's run it with it just so you can see how it works. Okay, yes, the word free is present. Best things in life are costly. Let's run this again. Now, I don't have anything really ending this particular code, so it's just going to keep running the code. So, yeah, obviously, it will work as long as you, it's not going to come back with anything unless that condition's met. There are things you can do, such as if then, and then it can run it, and then it'll eventually stop the code if it doesn't find it. So once I replace free, it comes back and goes, yep, the word free is in there. So, okay, getting a little too complex. I don't want to get too far ahead right now. All right, check if not. All right, so this is a good one. So they're already thinking ahead of me a little bit. Check if expensive is not listed. The best things in life are free. Print expensive, not in text. All right, so if it doesn't see it, what it's saying is if it's not here, we're just going to print expensive, not in text, because we're using the phrase not in. So a couple different substitutes, because you could just say if expensive's not here. So what we are saying is this is a true statement because the word expensive is not in the variable we've identified as txt or text, which is a sentence. Okay. Here's where it gets a little interesting and complicated. So I'll run through these practice questions. I think what I'm going to do is make I'll start to run through some of these other videos. I'm gonna probably stop this one in a minute. Strings will take a little bit of time. So, but let's do this one. Then we'll do the practice questions. Get a little bit of practice. Print only if expensive is not present. So text, the best things in life are free. If expensive is not in text, which it's not, print no, expensive is not present. So it'll certainly come back with that. One of the best things you can do if you're trying to learn how to code, or even if you're doing just math in general, and you're using that kind of logic, get a piece of paper down and write your code down. Or if it's a complex problem, a lot of times I like to think through it initially before I code, and then build out sort of a flow chart, and then that will help you sort of understand where you want to go with the programming initially. So, okay, so it's going to say no, expensive is not present. All right, we're going to run through this quiz here real fast, see how much I remember, and we'll go from there. What will be the result of the following code? Welcome. And then we're going to print the third letter. Okay, this is the one where it threw me off a little. So character. So I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. I want to say that's going to be a C. And we're not saying 2 through. We're just saying print the third character. Correct. Okay. All right. Use the length function to print the length of the string. Okay. All right. So for this one, if I'm correct, we're going to go length and then x, because I want to print the length of x, and then I have that within a parenthesis, and x is within its own parenthesis. Okay, I know I'm going to get one wrong here. It's been a while since I've seen some of this stuff, so I apologize in advance, but I'll go as far as I can before I look at the show answer and get some help. Get the first character of the string text. So we know the first one now because we learned this is going to be the H. So the first character in this one. All right, this is one where I might want to get a quick refresher on it. Oops, let's go back up there. Just want to double check. Don't want free. We already went through length. Print the X. Don't, nope. Oh, okay, so this one's just print the first character. So, okay. All right, so this one I'm going to go X equals, should be text, whoops. And then you're going to put a bracket, and then, no, let me double check that one. That was really interesting. It's been a while since I've seen that one. They're using print, so text, and then you're just going to put, no, you're just going to put the number 1 in the bracket. That should be it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had that right. Okay, so it looks like we're saying equals a little different there. Should be text. Hey, all right, let's go back and see if I got this. This one's a little different than what I remember. Okay, let's go with the bracket, and then it's text, and then you put the bracket, and I should put 1. Close that out. It's not letting me put that last bracket. I Actually, I'm just going to do that because it's not letting me see if that's it. Wrong answer. Okay, so I do want to get a little help with this one. Text. Okay, so I was close. It didn't let me see if I had that bracket, so I was trying to put that last one. It did not let me do that. Okay, so I was getting a little closer. All right, that one's fine. All right, and then, so this one you're going to go. My computer's acting up. Okay. That's what it was. I had the parenthesis on this, and it didn't let me see that one, so that should do it. Okay. Text. The best things in life are free. If free, it's not letting me click. Should let me write. Insert the correct keyword. So should be able to go through and hit in. If free in text, print yes, free should do it. Okay. All right. So again, had a pretty good run there, so a little trip up on that one. So again, it's not stuff that I use every single day, so I just want to make sure. And I definitely haven't typed a lot in this particular format. So yeah, you can kind of get a basic understanding of strings. So that's why I like to go through the example questions, make sure you get kind of the main thing down, and then you can always come back here and reference these for notes. All right, that concludes this video. I will move on to some of the other topics here. I was going to try to go through this one in a longer video session, but this is a pretty long section, so I may just break this out into at least 2 or 3. So, all right, that concludes the initial video over Python strings.